How's it going, everybody? All the World's a Stage, the comedy that's taking place right now around the world, especially in Los Estados Unidos, is it's extreme entertainment, comedy. It's WWE, NFL. 'Cause we know the NFL is FAKE, and so is the little brother, which they're now, getting paid by NIL in the little brother league. If you want to play on Sundays, you got to prove you can fake it on Saturdays. I wonder at what level of college they let them go ahead and just play real football. Like what they used to call Division II or division. I think that that's still real football. Maybe in the Ivy Leagues they do, um, or do most times. It's hard to tell. How would you know? They keep a lot of secrets. All right, so Mystery Babylon. Anyway, Mark 6, Daniel 5. Let us continue. Hopefully, you're watching this from the playlist, either the Daniel playlist or the Mark playlist, which obviously they'll be overlapping. New Testament studies always first. We don't read these in advance. Um, we like to do this live in case you get stumped on something, you see how we go about solving it. Anyway, and she came in straightway with haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist. I drive a charger. That's a little scary, isn't it? And the king was exceedingly sorry, for yet his oath's sake, and for their sakes, which sat with him, he had to go ahead and follow along. He couldn't reject her. Then immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head be brought. And they went and beheaded him in prison and brought his head in a charger and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to the mother. And when the disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse and laid it in a tomb. And the apostles gathered themselves together unto Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said unto them, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place, and rest a while, for there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. They departed into the desert place by a ship privately, and the people saw them departing, and many knew him, and ran afoot thither out of the cities, and outwent them, and came together unto him. We will continue that part tomorrow, good Lord willing. These are perilous times I live in, and that we all live in. Start chapter 5. Belteshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords. This is going to be the downfall of Babylon and the ushering in of the second empire, the silver, the Medes, and the Persians. Belshazzar, whiles he tasted the wine, commanded to bring in the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines might drink therein. Concubines were not wives, but they had children with the kings, and they also, um, well, obviously, sex, they had children with them, but they just weren't wives. So maybe due to status. Anyway, then they brought the gold vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at before the times from, in Jerusalem. And the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and silver and of brass and of iron and of wood and of stone. In that same hour, thank you, thing. This is where they get thing from the Adams family, just a hand. In that same hour, came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of that the hand wrote. And you have to remember the earth is supernatural anytime you're living in the Bible in real time, as it will be again after the right eye wound of the Antichristos. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him so much that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote against one another. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king said to them, if any of y'all could read this writing and show me the interpretation, you'll be clothed with scarlet and have a gold chain around your neck, and you'll be third ruler in this kingdom. Boy, desperate times call for desperate measures. A good friend told me once. And there's a great example of it. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.